Um, okay, listen. This one's going to be a rough one. I done already, I'm in my feelings. So I'm just going to tell y'all now, but we're going to shake it off a little bit and we're going to get this done. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for P-Valley. This is season 2, episode 6. And it was actually, you know what? It was a perfect title. The title of this episode is Savage. And I think it's a perfect title. Like I said, I'm a bit in my feelings. I literally have had to walk away from this and actually come back. So that just tells you that it was done very well, actually too well. And it's more of a personal thing on top of it because I literally have thrown myself into a whole tizzy with this from the very beginning. From the very beginning, from over a month ago, from episode 1. Just roll with me. Like I said, we're going to shake it off. I'm going to get through this without getting too out there. But I'm going to bring y'all all the way full circle and you'll understand what I'm talking about. How I have thrown myself into a tizzy behind this whole thing, not even knowing that I was actually going to do it. Crazy. So crazy. Okay, let's go. Episode 2. Episode. I ain't editing nothing, y'all. I ain't editing nothing. This is just going to be what it's going to be. Like I said, I done already walked away from this. I done spent way too much time in this already. I done watched it, and it took me some time. I didn't just watch it straight through. I had to run some stuff back, and I've given this way too much time. Way too much. It was savage. Okay, so listen. I ain't editing. Let's go. Episode 6, Season 2, P-Valley. Savage. We start off, and I said, who is this? Who's over this getting down? Charles, Big Bone and Diamond. Baby, that Big Bone, sickening. She is sickening. Body banging. I said, oh my. Body banging. Well, we already know Diamond Child. Listen, we already know about Diamond's body and all that good stuff all the way back when he was Benny down on Have It Have Nots. But Big Bone, she's very impressive. Very pretty girl. Body banging. Big Bone. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. But anyway, they slid in another person who is uber talented, who I'm glad to see, because I like her music, so I'm glad to see she's getting, you know, her notice like everybody else. Katori and Patrick Ian Polk, you all are doing a wonderful job with pulling from where I live. I live in the world of the internet. And one of the people from the internet is Kaya. She's more than just a music star. She's part of YouTube. You know, she has a large presence on YouTube. So I was so glad to see that they grabbed her old nasty piece of my neck, my back, licked my... Listen. So I was glad to see that. I was like, there you go, Kaya. Good job. Good job. So they're really making it happen for people in my world. It just, I love it. I love it. So we got Kaya, and they was having one old scene, baby. And I was like, and I said, you know, Big Bone, she's very that way. Like, she's very, yeah, she moves like a man. Like, she really did. The way she rolled on Diamond, she has a lot of masculine energy about her. She rolled on him. Like, she's like, get on my bike. The fuck? You know, that's what she gives. She's just beautiful, but she gives a lot of mask energy. Anyway, but when he's having sex with her, I'm noticing that he can't actually keep his eyes on her, and he keep turning his head. Still pumping. Still pumping. Pump it. Pump it. Pump it. Still pumping. But he's seeing Keyshawn. He's seeing Keyshawn. And not so much as Mississippi. He's seeing Keyshawn. Because, she got her hooks in him, honey. But he's seeing Keyshawn. And they're doing their thing. And then as they get done, this is when I say she's a lot of masculine energy. When she starts talking to him, and she says, you always, every time we do it, you keep coming in that condom. I want that in my mouth. I said, oh, this thing, what? Girl, that is taboo, honey. You know I come from another time, honey. Taboo, honey. In my mouth, child. But she wanted her mouth. Very masculine energy. She nasty, child. She is no apologies. I like it. I like the no apology, but girl. And she noticed, that little saying we had with him. She noticed that he hasn't been able to keep his eyes on her. She told him, I want those big almond brown eyes locked on me. Just I said, oh my. Then she also said, why ain't you been working at the Pynk? Well, you don't been working down to the Pynk. And he said, she said, was there one of them hoes down there that you wanted to try to take out of there, couldn't take her out of there? She wasn't ready to be saved. And he goes, who told you that? Then she goes over there. She's looking at his little hoodoo stuff he got there in his place. He told her, don't touch that. Don't touch that. So what is it? She said, it's protection. She said, well, they got me to look like they need protection. He said, oh, a hedge of protection is good for everybody. So just don't touch that. You don't want no legs growing out your back and your head on sideways. You just don't touch it. Just leave it alone. I was like, ooh, okay. For some reason, I think something's telling me Big Bone is too taken with that. There's some, and then her energy. Why is her energy so masculine? I don't know, and I could be reaching, but just let's mark it here. Y'all remember I said that something about Big Bone and this whole Montavious thing. She was just so taken with it. And again, they all from down that way, down in that bayou and all that day, so they know what it gives. So, but why was she so? I don't know. I might be reaching. Let me get off that soapbox. I told you I had a lot going on in this one, but I'm back. Let's go. Let's leave from this. They were doing like a little celebration for Big Teak. They're back at Chuckalisa, doing a little celebration for Big Teak. Here it is. They're like toasting him. They're out there kicking it, drinking. Here, Lil Murder has bought him a charger, and it's like camouflage, but it's like red and orange. It's like camouflage, but like the colors of fire. Yeah, real ghetto, and just perfect for him. And like I said, we also see him get all cleaned up, and he got his hair all cut, and he looking all cute. I'm like, oh, starting to really like Teak. Like, okay, Teak. But when he gave him the car, it's like this whole thing, like he kind of like broke down a little bit, but then sucked it back up. And I'm like, y'all gotta be very careful, because it's like y'all feelings are so out there on y'all sleeve that I'm like, shit, y'all damn near letting everybody know what's going on with you too. Y'all just really, it's undeniable what this connection is with them. And then there's hurt. Teak is hurt. Teak is hurt behind his whole, baby, that's his love, honey. And the other one, you love, and Uncle Clifford, you got yourself in quite a predicament, young man. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk. Keyshawn ends up talking to Lil Murder on the phone, and she tells him basically about Rome and how Rome, because they were like just thrown off. Like when him and Teak were talking, it was like, that's crazy how Rome died. They like he died. Like, that's crazy. Like, he's gone. He's not here. So they're clueless as to what actually happened. Keyshawn tells Lil Murder, she said, Rome actually knew everything about you. Like, he knew. And she said, and I told Wody that he actually knows everything about you. And then they got interrupted by Derek and his foolishness. He come through there telling her he going somewhere to build a fire pit for somebody. Asked her, do she want to go? Why would I want to go with you? Dragging these 2 damn babies. One baby is all banged up and beat up, and then I'm banged up and beat up. Really? Do you really want us to come with you? She had a black eye and like, really, like, get out of my face. But anyway, just stupid. Anyhow, she ends up trying to make a break for it, which was really strange. Like, as soon as he got gone, she heard him pull off. She go up in the behind the little heating duct and grab her. She got a gun. She got her a gun. I said, oh, Janie's got a gun. Oh, okay. She got her little pretty pink gun. I said, girl, but are you going to use it? Anyway, she got her gun. She got her baby. She rolled up out of there, baby. Ain't no battery in the car. So she just defeated and disgusted. She go back in the house. Why? You got money, Keyshawn. So your mind is screwed up. Your mind is screwed up. You already gone. When you walk out of the door, mama, you gone. You're gone. Hit it. Start walking. Start walking. I would have never went back in that house. He'd had to catch me on the road. I'd have been gone. And she had left her phone. Like, she took the phone so he couldn't trace her. With the phone, she left the phone. Just hit it. Just hit it. But she didn't. I mean, it's hard, but life is hard. I would have never went back in. Once you mustered up what you need to get up out of there, ain't no way I went back in that house. I wouldn't have. Black eye and all, I'd have hit it. Anyway, moving on. Let's go here over to Shell. Shell and Mercedes had this little thing. She get there. She's like, I brought y'all some groceries. Shell still acting shady to Mercedes, talking to her like she ain't shit. She's like, she look at the garbage. She been drinking. She's like, how long did it take to drink all this? Filled up with wine and liquor bottles and all that. And then she's telling her, she says, do you even remember that you called Terica a mistake? And then Terica ain't there. You don't know where she at. You know, she's like, what's going on? She's like, I can kind of take her off your hands and give you a break. You get yourself together. Because she said, all I need is a job. Well, you know, we're in the pandemic, so people have lost work and different things like that. No food. And then they had like some oranges that were in there. They was just molded. No, I know. See, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to take. She said, no, I'm not trying to take her and get custody. I'm just trying to give you some help. I'm worried about you. Like, you don't look good. Like, what? I just need a job, and I don't mean no swinging on no pole like you do. You're just being ignorant. This drunken ass whore didn't even remember that she had actually said that Terica was a mistake. She's like, yeah, you said it. She broke down crying like, oh, I would never say that. You pushed her out, but she's my baby. I raised. Girl, you're a mess right now, sis. You're a mess. And everything about you is a mess. And you just try to choke her out, Annie. Anyway, she ends up getting a call from the coach. And the coach is telling her, you need to come on out here and finish that Mercedes thing for me and my wife, this, that, and the other. She's like, I just kind of wanted it to be me and you. Like, I didn't really want to do it. She running away from her feelings. She running away from her feelings because the truth of the matter is Farrah done turned Mercedes out. So, she was caught up in the situation, and now you done stepped away from the situation, and that's not what you want for yourself. She doesn't want to be a lesbian, okay? She's not a willing, she's not really a willing participant in this whole being turned out situation. But lovely Farrah, she's basically turned Mercedes out. But he's like, just come on, just this one time, whatever. So in the midst of them talking, then Terica calls. And then she's like, okay, coach, I'll be there. I gotta go. She misses the call. She tried to click over. She don't get it. She don't get Terica. She'll get to talk to her. Go on about her business. Now, we see Big Teak and Lil Murder hanging out. They're like kind of hanging out. Like he goes to get his haircut and all of this. And he says, where do you want me to drop you off at? And he's like, you drop me off nowhere. Like, I just thought I'd just hang around the hood with you, you know? And Teak is like, Big Teak is in love, okay? He really can't tell Lil Murder no, but he really don't want to hang with him. Like, he's literally sitting in hurt and anger and feeling disappointment and just kind of feeling a little betrayal. You know what I mean? Which, you know, that's not really realistic. Like, he was locked up. But, I mean, isn't that normal for people who are locked up? They think that's normal. It's not normal. You're locked up. Go sit down. Anyway, so he's like, okay, you can't tell him no. He's like, no problem. So they're out and they're eating at this little restaurant. They're eating chow. And this is where I said you can really see what the dynamics of this little relationship is. Little chick, she down there, she looking at Teak. She like, oh, come on, light skin, light eyes. What's it all about? Yes, baby. Maybe I'll be sure and the boys is going to make a comeback. I don't know what you giving. Chow. Lil Murder got jealous. Told her, could you go back there and get us 2 glasses of water and get yourself one while you at it, thirsty ass horse? I was like, you jealous? He was jailed, Daddy. I was like, all right, send her on the way. But they talk, and the conversation is very complicated. It's complicated. And in the midst of it, he apologized. You know, he told me, I messed, you know, and they told him, well, what's he like? So he literally sits there, I said, you better than me, girl. You better than me, I can't do it, honey. He's sitting there, he explains Uncle Clifford to him, and like all of, you know, everything about him. And he literally, you could just see him, like the stars in his eyes, and he's like he's perfect. Like he said, he's like what he said, he's like the eclipse. Child, that's when you know. So, baby, when somebody sit and tell you that another bitch is the eclipse, you know your job here is done. Because how can you, what you gonna be? The typhoon? As if this whore is the eclipse. What you, when the moon go in front of the sun, honey, you can't compete with that, baby. It's over. It's over. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. You done blew. You blew. Anyway, so I was like, poor thing. So there was some disconnection there. I saw something in Teak there. It was like the wind had been knocked out of him with that whole little seating there. And he's hurt, but he told him, you're forgiven. And he reached over to touch his hand, and he pulled his hand back. I said, yes. He realizes what the reality of what it is. There's no fight to be fought. And even when he said, whoa, that's weird, that's different. He says, well, what is he like? He says, she. He's like, she? He's like, yeah, that's what he likes to be called. He's like, well, that's different, nigga. Well, that's some weird. Well, okay. Yeah, baby, it's over. She done introduced him to the dark arts, honey, and it's over for you. And he knew it. He knew it. Like I said, very complicated. But I saw the wind being knocked out of his sails right there. I was like, poor thing. Anyway, moving on. Later that night, they're out at the gas station, and Lil Murder, he's showing Big Teak like how to pump gas. You know how to pump gas. Like, he's really getting him reacclimated to like everything. And Lil Murder's song is playing on the radio. So they, you know, it's like a big celebration out there in the middle of the gas station. And the one guy was saying something smart, and you see Teak turns around and is like, I'm like, you know, come on, pull it in. You know, pull it in. Like, it's still showing that trigger in him. He's just always on go. You know what I mean? So we still got that going on, but that was like that moment. Then again, I'm looking at Big Teak again, and Big Teak is looking at him like, I told you. And it was kind of like completion. It was like completion. Like, okay, this is it. Like, you're set. You're set. Um, and he just was looking at him. He's just looking at him. Like, wow, he's like everything that I said he was going to be. Like, I actually see it come full circle. And it was like, it was bittersweet because it's like, damn, but it ain't mine no more. You know? I was like, oh, child, shake it off, baby. It's okay. But, he got a lot of issues. So, moving on. Then we had a scene where the girls, the Pynk is closed. The girls, baby, they renting out spaces and they actually using the Pynk's name and advertising themselves online, baby, and they giving with spades games. But when you get down there, baby, ain't nobody playing no cards, honey. They spinning and doing their thing. You see Roulette and whisper getting down. And then there was this whole little situation where old dude come back, the one that Roulette blew. He come back with his little cute self, and he gonna tell her, why don't you hook me up with your girl? With Whisper, she said, she don't get down like that. That's, I be doing the extra. He gonna say, I gave you a whole band for, sucking me off. He said, I'll give her an extra band if she let me eat her. And Roulette was like, wow, I wish I'd have had that offer to lay on my back as opposed to getting on my knees. He gonna say, oh, you don't know. You never know what might happen. I was like, oh. And you could tell she was jealous and she was hurt. Because that's that little colorism issue. That's that little colorism issue. Literally, you thought so little of me, basically, that you want me to get down on my knees and put my mouth on you. But you, all of a sudden, now you want to pay her double what you paid me, and you want to service her. So she was feeling a little down on herself. Then she ends up excusing herself, going outside. She runs into Duffy. And then they have this little back and forth, and he's like throwing compliments at her. She's like shooting the compliments down. She's feeling down on herself. And then she said, I'm really feeling you. Like, I'm really feeling you. And she said, but I'm a hoe. And he's like, well, that's all right, because I'm a hoe too. And he went up there and kissed her up in her mouth. I said, there you go. There you go, sweetie. Because she was really feeling down on herself. I was like, yeah. But, we see that all the time in this, when it comes down to the girls and the way the males, there's definitely colorism that exists there. And it's a hurt piece. It's a hurt piece. But it definitely exists there in that world. Yeah. Now, Autumn is down there getting all dressed up. She's down at the Pynk getting all dressed up, and there's this whole little thing. Child, listen, Big Al and Uncle Clifford most. Uncle Clifford is just so sick of Autumn. He don't know what she's doing. Where are you going? She has this really gorgeous red gown and all of this, and Big Al to turn the water off on her because she ain't paid him his money. He gonna say, if you don't pay me my goddamn money, she said, turn that water on. Anyway, she goes and she gets all dressed up. And she goes to there's this whole private black tie affair over at Andre's given. And they go on up to the house, and it's like in this mansion. It's really beautiful. It's like a masquerade ball. She comes in, everybody's in black and white. She roll up there in red, bitches clean, hair sharp, gown is really, really sharp. She get in there, honey, and she steps out there and stands in the middle of the room and says, I have a question. Right while Andre's making his speech, and he's saying, everything's going to be equal for all the Chuckalisons and this, that, the other. She says, yeah, well, how are you going to secure that everything will be equal for all people of Chuckalisa, this, that, thing, the other? And child, it's like all the old boys club, honey. They looking around, honey. I said, look at them looking like the Illuminati or something, honey. They looking around, and he gives off his little answer, honey, and the people was like, oh, bravo. It's all politically correct and spoken really well about their do-boy, honey. And they're like, oh, yes. Hey, that Corbin came over there and grabbed her by her. Bitch, get out of here. So he ends up throwing her out. She don't leave though. She stays standing there on the porch. She on the porch, and she ends up making her way back into the party because this woman named Miss Baston, she comes in. She is her husband has recently passed. We've seen her husband before. Her husband has to do with he's powerful. And now that power is hers. So she's like running something. And she has the power to give him the push for his run for mayor and all of that. But she was just real flippant. She come in there. She told the man, she had this real pretty gown on, had this white fur, little stole. She's like, yeah. She's like, this ain't going to be long. I was like, uh-oh. And she come in. She already half hied up, honey, half suited. She sees Autumn. She gonna say, "Oh yes, honey." She said, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" She's like, "Yeah." She thought she was a cigar girl. She throws her little fur over there on Autumn. Autumn just played it, made her way back in. She's like, "Okay." She said, "Girl, get me a rum and coke, or no rum and was it some liquor, but take all the juice out and just bring the liquor, child." But she's like, "Okay, baby." She said, "No problem." So she comes in, and now when she comes in with her, she can't. Corbin can't throw her out now because she had came in as a guest with the lady. She said, "Oh yeah, come on." So she told her when she came over with the drink for her, she said, "Come on, baby, you gonna be my little cigar girl. You gonna be my little girl tonight, honey." So to sit on down, you keep doing this, honey, and we'll be just fine. And they're sitting there, and then baby Autumn goes ahead and says what she has to say, and she says, um, "Did you tell them how I only got offered like $40,000 for the Pynk when that's not anywhere near what it's actually worth, the land that the Pynk is on?" And she's like, "Oh, so you're not the cigar girl?" She said, "At another time, in another place, I've been the cigar girl, but not tonight. Tonight is Lakeisha Savage." She said, "Oh, well, I believe in second chances." And she said, "How much was it really worth?" She says, "Andre, how much is that land? How much was the offer should have been?" He said, $10 million. She gonna say, "Oh, well, not a problem, honey. Listen, I'll be getting in touch with you." She said, "It's fine." They said, "Well, what about the endorsement for his run for mayor?" She said, "Oh, that? Who gives a damn?" She said, "You know, I'll do it. It's no big deal." She said, "Because I don't give a damn who runs this little shit ass town here, honey. I don't really give a damn. Long as it doesn't fuck with my casino. You got it?" And she told Autumn, "I'll be in touch, honey." I said, "Miss Autumn, yes, God." Baby, that Corbin was fit to be tied, and that Andre was mad as hell. You hear me? Mad as hell. Later on, honey, that damn, he gets back to his house. He's talking to Corbin on the phone, and Corbin's like, "That bitch, can you believe that bitch?" I'm like, He said he gone. Don't realize Autumn that made her way up into the house. She's sitting there with her legs crossed and scared the hell out of Andre. Andre like, oh, he like, "Oh, I gotta go." And then he get to talking to her. Baby, he get to telling, they get to having it out. Tells him, "Listen, you don't care at all with your little antics, who you hurt and what it could do. You could really screw me up. This is real for me. You just don't care about what you do, Autumn." She's like, "Yeah," you gonna say, "Just get out, Autumn. Just get out." She's like, "Oh." So she go to walking toward the door, and then she turns around and he said, "You know, I'm the one. I'm the one that let you in. I'm the one that let you in on that auction. I let you in." She's like, "You did. You did. And you're right. You got the power. You got the power. So what do you want me to do?" So he tells her, "Take your dress off. Take your dress off." So she takes her dress off. Now we done went into this whole role playing thing. And he thinking he's running Autumn again as usual. She takes the dress off. And she said, "What do I do next, sir?" He said, "Crawl. to me. I said, Miss Autumn could be better than me because I've been cussing them out already. But she get down, she got this badass silver sandal. She crawled to him, honey. And then she stands up, baby. And then she stands up, she take and pull her panties down, honey. She's, what do you want me to do next? He said, you know how stupid Andre is. Child, she pushed him back there and onto the bed. And he fall down on the bed, baby. And you see it. I said, child, I said, y'all is showing these penises, honey, on here. I said, y'all just carrying on. Every episode, we doing all this full frontal nudity, honey. But she went up there and mounted him, honey. She seduced the best out of him. I said, you always think you got it going on when it comes to Autumn. You don't have nothing for Autumn, Andre, with your simple self. She got on there and rode him down into that mattress, honey. I said, got him. Okay, so let me go over to Coach's place. Child, the coach is there, Fair is there. Fair is kind of, her and Mercedes sitting there, and she kind of rubbing on Mercedes. She's like, oh, my child, ain't he gonna get mad? She gonna say, child, he can't hear us. It's that thing and the other, just talking. And she's like, and she's like, I just, that wasn't supposed to happen, and I think he would get upset. She gonna say, I don't even know what you're talking about. I said, oh, she playing the game, honey. And then the next thing you know, honey, they get ready to get started. They get into the groove of it, honey. They're doing the whole Mercedes experience. The next thing you know, honey, the coach is up there. He's standing. Both of them is laying on the bed. And Fair is laying beside. She's laying beside Mercedes. And they're both naked. And Mercedes is being plunged, baby, by the coach. Coach is tearing Mercedes up, honey. She getting her life. And the next thing you know, honey, she was getting her life. Baby, Miss Fair then got real comfortable, baby, and reached right on over there and put her hand down there, baby, and was giving Mercedes, honey. And it took Mercedes over the side, baby. I said, girl, she got Miss Fair done turned Miss Mercedes out. Honey, listen, Miss Fair was giving to Mercedes so good, honey. She didn't even realize that the coach had pulled his little piece out, honey. I said, this is what I tell y'all about 3 ways. Somebody always gets left out. And a lot of times, look, men can't take that. They cannot take it when they are not, when the spotlight's not on them, honey, and their penis, they cannot take it. He sat back and looked, honey. She was over there lighting Mercedes up with that finger, honey, or fingers, honey, and he got mad as hell. What is this shit? He gonna say, you don't like no pussy. I said, baby, they got to argue. She said, you don't know what I like. Because you never take the time to see what my dreams and my aspirations and what my wants and needs are. It's always about you. You don't know. You don't know, do I like pussy? You don't even realize I like pussy probably more than you do. And I said, oh. Now, I felt like at this point, Mercedes should have just like, shut up and act like she ain't know nothing. He was like, something going on here. I know what bitches done been laying up. And then he gonna turn Mercedes gonna say, I am angry with you. You done turned my wife out. Like, what? No, honey. Your wife turned her out. Honey, your wife was the one with the hard tongue, honey. She's the one, honey. But Mercedes ain't say nothing. Mercedes gonna go girl power and say, yeah, coach, you got to worry about her sometime too. He was like, what? Cussed her out, told her, get out. Get out. We are done. I am very unhappy with you. You broke my trust. Y'all both done broke my heart. I was like, child, not your heart, your heart on, honey. Not your heart. Your heart on. They broke your ego, baby. And they broke your heart on, honey. You done been over there drinking that damn Viagra crushed up in some orange juice down there. And it even went down. Your feelings were so hurt that it went down. Honey, get on out of here. And he was mad. And then they didn't give her the money. And then the wife said, well, wait a minute. You can't do that. That's not right. You can't break a deal. He took his money on that tray back, honey, and gave Mercedes, get out of here, honey. And the wife turned on Mercedes, gonna give her shoes. I said, damn, you literally leaving with a wet ass and no coin, honey. I said, oh, that was messed up. So that was that on that. So she going about her business. Now, let's see, how do I want to do this last part? These last parts. Okay, so let me do this. Uncle Clifford. Uncle Clifford's over there with Grandma, Miss Ernestine. And she coughing and coughing and hacking and coughing and looked like she's short of breath. I said, He said he checked her sugar. Her sugar was fine. He checked her temperature. She had 102, a fever of 102. You know she old. That don't work. I said she done got the damn COVID. He called Toy on the phone. Toy answers. She coughed and all of it. He gonna say, "God damn it, Toy! I knew it wasn't no goddamn allergies." I said, "Oh my God!" Then gave Miss Ernestine the damn COVID. I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, cool. I guess. All right, we should be able to. I don't know. Let's see." Anyway, so I start getting worked up. Anyway, myself at this point. So let's move on from that. Teak stops at this place, and he's going into the house, and he leaves no murder in the car, and he says, he's on the phone with Wody. Wody said, "You know what? We great going out on this last leg of this tour, and yeah, T can't come." He said he's too much of a wild card. He's too much of a wild card. And he said to Wody, he said, he said now that Rome done OD'd and that, he says it's mighty funny. Like, it's funny that you know that he OD'd. How you know he OD'd? And Wody just kind of looked at him. He's like, "I don't know, nigga. I just, I take care of stuff." And he's like, I can't fire him. And he's gonna say, I can take care of, I can take care of him if you want me to take care of him. I was like, okay, Wody, now listen now. I don't know if that's what you was really saying, but we not gonna have you just taking care of everybody now, not like that. And in the midst of that piece of the conversation, the phone died. His battery ran out. So he's reaching into the glove compartment for the charger and stuff, and he sees he got the gun. The gun is in there. He like, oh my God, he done went up in the trap house without the gun. So he jump out the car, he go into the house. And while we're in the house, we see Big Tiki's coming through, and it's just literally like a trap house. And he goes in the house. It's just a mess in there, and it's a mess. It's really a mess. And you hear all this yelling, and but you could tell it's all in his head. Like he's having this whole PTSD moment, and he's really captivated in what it is that's going on. And as he's walking through, and then he gets to this one closet door. You hear this yelling and screaming. He opens his closet door, and there's this little adorable little boy who actually looks like Teak in a smaller form, but his shoulder is all bloody. The little boy's shoulder is all bloody. And he's looking at the little boy, and he's like, okay. And then by this time, he's like entranced. And at that point, Lil Murder has come in. And he goes, "How you come in here without your gun? You left your gun in the damn glove compartment." So they end up leaving out of there. And then he ends up telling him, he said, "That was my house. That was my house. That's where I used to live." He was like, "Oh." He gonna say, "Okay." And he was like all out of sorts. He's like, "We leaving all that tonight, leaving all that behind us. So that's it. We ain't never going back to that no more. We get ready to have houses and cars and this, that, and the other. We leaving all that behind us. Leave all that trauma right there." So that's that. So he leaves out. So then we end up seeing them. They go down, they drive down near the water, and they're sitting out there. They sitting on the hood of the car. They rapping and stuff and carrying on, having a good time. And then Teak does a rap And it's like slower than the stuff that it doesn't have that whole bounce type of thing going on that like he usually does. It's like slower, and he's like, "Whose song is that?" And he's like, "That's one of the songs that you penned when I was in the hole, and you sent to me." He gonna say no. He gonna say, "Yeah, it is." And he's like, "I knew you was gonna make it. You know this, that thing, and the other." And they talking, and then he says, he basically is telling him how much he care about him and how much he appreciates him. And he's like, he said, "I'm really sorry about the time you spent in the hole." He said, "Because once that happened, you were never the same again." And that's when he ends up telling him, he said, "No, you think that's the first time I've been in the hole?" He like, "That ain't the first time I've been to the hole." He said, "Mm-mm." He said, "I was 7 years old, and I watched my mother stab her daughter in the neck." She said she put 8 inches, that's a butcher knife, and the 8 inches of steel in the neck of her daughter, and into the shoulder of a 5-year-old, and then in the chest of a baby. So she had a daughter, a son, and another daughter, which was a baby. And then there was Teak, who was actually 7. He got out and ran. And I think he said like he ran as fast as this little 7-year-old lady could take him, and he hid down that way, and then he ended up, I guess he went back to the house, and then he hid in that closet. And I'm like, okay, but the mother, she had mental illness. She tweaked out, and she pulled a damn Amityville horror story shit and killed her own kids. But he got away, and went back, and then he hid in the closet or whatever. So that was that. And then he explained the tears, his teardrops. So people think the teardrops is for people he killed. He's like, no, the teardrops are for the 3 siblings. And then they end up getting into the car, and he starts talking again, and he's saying to him, "Where you want me to drop you off?" And he's like, "I ain't going nowhere," because he sees he's kind of like out of sorts still. And he says, "I'm not going nowhere. I'm just stay with you. I'll be with you till the sun come up, nigga. This, whatever." Child, that gets cut short. He ends up pulling this gun out, putting this gun up to his head, and it just this whole exchange back and forth. And he can't talk him back down, and he tells him he loves him and all of this stuff, but he can't talk him down. And he's like, I'm tired. Like, I've done everything. I was supposed to already be gone, And he's like, no, the demon and the devil is at that house. That's over. And he's like, no, I was supposed to be done. I wasn't supposed to be here this long, but I'm just tired now. And this, that, thing, and the other. And I'm like, oh, God. And it just goes on. And then they end up going outside. Because I was just so, I was like, I'm ready to cut this off. Because it was just too much. So I was really glad they filmed it the way they did. That they didn't go so graphic. And he actually shoot himself in the head. And we be in the car. Because I just couldn't take no more. They actually... Remember when him and Uncle Clifford was getting down that time back in the woods, and they filmed from outside, and you seen the windows fogging up? Well, they filmed it like that, and you seen the flash and the pop in the car, and then it got quiet, and then you see Lil Murder get out of his side, and he just got blood all down the one side, because he had this real pretty white jogging suit on. He got blood all down the side of him, and he was just too through, and so was I over here. Now, right here is where I had my issue. This is where I had my issue. Because I was already getting all worked up. It got me all worked up. And then I thought about, do y'all remember back on the first episode? Remember in the first episode, then I had to come back and I had to, when I did my review, I came back and I apologized to you all because for the whole first episode of this season, I called Little Murder C Murder. Do y'all remember that? I kept calling him C Murder, C Murder, C Murder, C Murder. Then y'all were teasing me and making jokes about Monica Arnold and how she was going to get me about that because, C Murder is one of her exes or whatever. But when we got to this, it took me down this rabbit hole. Do y'all remember that right before the C Murder thing? Y'all remember when Monica Arnold was in the car with her ex-boyfriend and he shot himself and killed himself in front of her in a cemetery. It was so creepy. That was so creepy because I have no way of knowing what was actually going with that. It was so creepy to me how I just infused Monica into this whole thing. And then boom, here we got this, and it like mirror imaged some stuff from Monica's life. It was so weird to me and so eerie to me. But I just watched it, and I literally, I finished watching the show, and I literally had to get, I couldn't even come and do the review. I had to let it go for a while. I got up and I walked off for a little over an hour before I came back and I started talking to y'all. And y'all know when we first started, I feel a little better now, but when we first started, I was kind of like stumbling over my words and stuff because it was just a lot. Like that was a lot, and that was so weird. That was so weird. But anyway, so like I said, I told y'all I would bring it full circle how it's like I threw myself in a tizzy from the very beginning of this. And who knew? Who knew? But anyway, as if that wasn't bad enough. Then we go from there. We go over to Mercedes' house. She's just sitting down. She took her wig off. She's sitting there having a drink. She's knocking at the door. She go to the door. It's Terica. Terica coming there, child. She breaking down crying. She's like, girl, why is you here? What are you doing here this time of night? And then she's like, what's wrong? And child, she pull out, she got a pregnancy test in her back pocket. This child is pregnant. So now it's the ongoing, it's that curse, that revolving curse. You know what I mean? Like time repeating itself. I said, oh, jeez. Then we go from there. And then we see Miss Ernestine, grandma, coming down the steps. Her breath is just, the COVID is just ravishing her at this point. And this is what I think really, really took me over. She goes to the door. You know how she opens the door. You know she can't see. And she's saying, Daddy, is that you? I was like, we get ready to lose Miss Ernestine. Miss Ernestine's getting ready to die, y'all. Ain't no need to even I have no hope left for it at all. Something told me somewhere along the way with this that we was going to lose Miss Ernestine, but I am completely convinced that Miss Ernestine is going to be gone probably in the next episode because she's hallucinating. And it's affecting her mind. She has pre-existed. She got diabetes. She had that high spiked ass damn temperature. She hasn't been to the doctors, and now she's hallucinating, which means that it's affected her mind. She gone. She gonna be gone, y'all. And I don't even know how I feel about that. I was so disgusted with that. But anyway, it's a little murder at the house, and he's standing there and he got blood all over him. I'm like, I'm so glad she came and see. She can't see it or nothing. And then Clifford come down to see him, and I'm like, and then the thing is, now y'all gonna be quarantined because he looked at Clifford. He's like, I'm not good. I'm not good. I'm not okay. And I'm like, child, now y'all got to worry about because y'all got a whole live case of COVID there with y'all too. So it's just a whole big mess. A whole big mess. This was a lot. A lot. I talked about how last week the first half was very a different world-esque, and it was very dreamy. This week it was back to like the real grit and grime and how dirty Chuckalisa actually gets at times. It was a lot. This was a lot. This episode was a lot. And then Keyshawn also, Derek comes back like, oh, nothing is, nothing. Oh, yeah, they told me to tell you to come on over next time. She was actually sitting there with the gun like she's actually contemplating shooting them. And I think you should. Anyway, I've had enough of Chuckalisa for the week. So I'm going to bid you all adieu. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. So I'll catch y'all in the comments. All right, y'all. Catch y'all on the next episode.